Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
So Silver Sun pickups tickets coming up at the end of music entertainment news. And then after that, we'll get to a Black Keys Ticket Blitz Thursday, a new keyword for you. But let's get to the news. Pretty exciting news out of Sublime Camp as they are working on their first new album since 1996. That blew my mind. We're looking at, again, 30 years almost, because I feel like there's been new music, but there really hasn't, of course, because this is going to be with Jacob Knoll, the son of the late frontman Bradley Knoll, who passed away, sadly, when he was about 1 year old. And we saw him, Bradley Knoll, performing with Sublime in a lot of shows last year at Riot Fest and all that. So now he's going to record new music with the guys that his dad's band, which is incredible. I saw him at the Park West about a year and a half ago doing his solo stuff. He is a wild performer. He's perfect. I can't wait. I'm really excited about it. And Travis Barker from Blink-182 helping him out produce that. That's awesome as well. Looking forward to that new music. We've kind of had a little Foo Fighters pause here since the Dave Grohl scandal where he cheated on his wife. There's a baby out there from the infidelity. Now, I can't...
The baby's been located. We know the baby's not missing. You say it like it's like an alien.
There's a baby out there, and it's been located, and it's getting taken care of well.
It's in a home. It's being taken care of. Everything's fine with the baby.
It's all great. Now, Dave Grohl's wife and him were seen in public, and the rumor is that she has forgiven him after the infidelity scandal. They're going to move forward with trying to keep their marriage going after 20 years and 3 children, and that seemed tough. I mentioned this to my wife last night as we were picking up our baby from daycare, and I just kind of mentioned it, and I led into just very subtly going, can you imagine if I did that and how I sold you that we could stay together? And before I finished, she goes, you'd be lucky, quote, if your nuts were still in one piece after that.
Amen. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Megan.
Yeah, you guys can go have some wine together and talk about it.
Yeah, dog walking, girl.
Hey, nothing happened. I'm just saying, what if? When you're in a situation when you slept with somebody else and had a child with that person and you try to keep the marriage together. I know a lot of people that things like this have happened to, and they do get the marriage and they keep going because the love somehow can overcome something like this.
Well, God bless him. You know?
Yeah.
Boy, could I not. But God bless him.
I guess the issue, with cheating scandals, and somebody can get past a cheat somehow, but when there's a child around for the rest of your life, that constant reminder, you can't forget about what happened.
Yeah, that's really hard because now he's going to have to co-parent with somebody. They're going to that kid's going to have milestones and all their birthday party. It's just I wouldn't want to deal with that ever, you know?
And
or he's going to set up boundaries and he's not going to be as present, which that kind of sucks for that kid. That kid didn't do anything. So all around, it just kind of sucks.
It'll be tough. Now, and my wife also mentioned that, hey, well, maybe she's staying in it for the money. Dave Grohl, net worth over $300 million from his Nirvana, Foo Fighters, everything days. But then she said, well, I guess she would have got the money anyway. Half would have been pretty nice, like kind of winning the lottery and you take the cash option instead of the full option. Instead of the $300 million, I'll take $150.
Yep.
Still pretty good.
$150 and I don't have to deal with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That might have been a good option. So it's
and
not
then
just...
she should just get with somebody that he idols, so it's
Oh, boy.
She's gonna get with one of the guys from Naked Ray Gun just
Something
to
like
get
that.
back at Dave Grohl.
That's your first thought on who she's going to get with?
Because Dave Grohl idolizes Naked Ray Gun.
It's true. He did.
Or
That's
he may
true.
have a favorite athlete or something. Wait, is he a sport?
I don't know if Dave Grohl is a favorite athlete. We
Do
should
you think
ask
he likes a sport? Like any of them?
He likes barbecue.
He does love barbecue.
She could hook up with a throwdown, showdown Food Network star.
Guy Fieri she's going to hook up with?
Who's the, not to give Entourage spoilers, but who's the guy that Ari's wife ends up hooking up with?
Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay. She could hook up with Bobby Flay.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he's done barbecue.
Yeah, he's not a barbecue guy.
But I'm sure he's done it.
Guy Fieri goes to more barbecue places.
Guy Fieri goes a lot of places.
And his hair is fantastic.
That's one way of describing it.
Can you imagine she walks in the house with Guy Fieri?
You see a buttoned-up shirt with flames sprinkled across the floor.
He's like, hey, Dave, big fan. Want to go in the backyard, check out your Weber, see what you got on the smoker, and let's see what's cooking for dinner tonight with all 3 of us.
I'm raising your kids now.
Surprise.
All right, other news of not a marriage getting together, but breaking up. Sydney Sweeney has called off her marriage to Jonathan Davino.
Wedding.
Oh, the wedding. Yeah, the no marriage yet, the wedding. And it says, quote, called off amid, quote, major issues, end quote.
bet.
Now,
Glenn Powell. It's hard to say this. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm not as much up on this entertainment story. So, Kenzie, what is the deal with Glenn Powell, who was
So
he was in Top Gun, and that's where people got really to know him from Top Gun.
And Twisters.
And
He was in
Twisters.
Twisters and Top Gun 2. But he was in a movie with her called Anyone But You that came out in 2023. It's a horrible movie, but it's, which I really wanted it to be good, but it's just very, like, Lifetime could have done a better job. It's just crap. But they had a lot of really close pictures. Now, they're very intimate in the movie, but even behind the scenes, not filming the pictures of them that came out were like, wow, neither of you should be in relationships with other people, and both of you are based on these photos. And there was just a lot of rumors about that relationship being much more than just an on-camera relationship.
Now, not to bring your nuts into this conversation again, Brian.
Mine?
Yes,
Okay,
yours.
yeah.
But Sydney Sweeney being back on the market, does that put your marriage in jeopardy?
It doesn't.
Okay.
But I do want to see Euphoria. My wife won't let me watch it.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't watch that.
Why not? Why can't I watch it?
Because it's a lot of, and they're not actually teenage, but it's a bunch of women pretending they're teenagers being naked. And I understand why your wife's like, maybe don't watch that.
Yeah, it's kind of a show for people like me and Kenzie.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's kind of up our alley.
I think you have to be born at a certain year cap off thing. Like,
That's
you have to be this
that is-
tall,
that
you
is
have to
a-
be born this year.
That's the biggest load of crap I've ever heard.
Why?
Because there's no age restriction on nudity.
Well,
Actually, there is a huge, really important one.
No, there's not. That's false. If everybody's of age and consent is fine in the filming, then I can watch what I want.
I just don't think there's a reason for you to watch the show that isn't inappropriate towards your marriage.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd like it outside of...
Yeah, it's not even like, oh my God, you're going to love this plot. Like, there's nothing about it for
There's
you.
nudity. I'd like the plot. And Sydney Sweeney's in
Yeah,
it.
and she's naked in it.
What part of the plot don't I understand that I'm going to miss out on?
Not a good look.
I'm going to watch it.
You have a daughter. Keep that in mind. What about in a handful of years when people are like,
You
oh,
have a-
well, she's in high school.
But you have a son.
Yeah? What is that? I don't understand where that's going.
What's the difference?
What do you mean?
I'm an adult. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna pay for all of my sins because I have a daughter, and 20 years later she can go, your dad did this.
Correct.
Wait, what sins are you paying for? I don't get it.
I'm not gonna
following
get into
your
that
lead.
list.
It's a long list. We don't have time. Lauren's here at 10.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q 101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. We'll get to your takeaways here in a few minutes. Not yet, though, because it's time for sports.
The Q101 Morning Crew. Sports.
Huge day on the south side, of course.
White Sox! White Sox! Go, go, White Sox!
Let's go, White Sox. Now, of course, a huge day for the Cubs, too, but they're on the road with their opening day. D-backs, 9:10 tonight. 9:10, you'll see the Cubs on TV. But the White Sox, 3:10, first pitch. Let's go. Now, what you need to know about the White Sox to get you all set up for this year. Last year, the record was 41 and 121. It's weird to use that many syllables with the losses. It's 121. Of course, the worst team in Major League Baseball history. They set the record. Can they do better? DraftKings, the over-under is 53.5 wins for 12 and a half more wins, which normally if a team got 12 and a half more wins on the odds of a season, they're going to the World Series. But 50 wins, not going to get you there.
I've never seen an over-under that low, and that's gone up. At the start of spring training, it was 50 and a half, and they've bumped it up miraculously to 53 and a half wins.
Now, without major offseason moves, a lot of injuries in spring training, can they actually be worse than last year?
I think so. I say that legitimately, and I say that with no glee whatsoever. I'm a White Sox fan. I would love for the team to be good again in my lifetime, even though it doesn't look like it will be. But they traded Garrett Crochet, their best pitcher, to the Boston Red Sox, and nobody has been able to answer my question of what happens now that Garrett Crochet isn't pitching every fifth day.
Who have you asked that question to?
A lot of people. Nobody will answer it.
Well, how are they supposed to know? They don't play for the team.
Yeah, I mean, somebody in the organization did you get down there?
I'm asking people on the street. I'm asking babies, priests, everybody. I'm asking street wanderers. I just need somebody to explain to me what the White Sox are going to do now that Garrett Crochet isn't pitching every fifth day.
Can you send? There's got to be an email for Jerry Reinsdorf somewhere.
Yeah, it's called fyourself@gmail.com.
So send an email to fyourself@gmail.com saying, what are you going to do about the White Sox? There's got to be a way to get a hold of a feedback section, let's say, or something with the White Sox.
I don't think the White Sox will ever open a feedback section.
How can we do better?
I don't think they're going to do that.
Start over.
Every corporation has some kind of email to get a hold of him for human resources purposes. You've got to get an email to Jerry Reinsdorf and ask him, what are you doing with the Garrett Crochet situation after that?
Number 2, how dare you?
So things look
Office reference?
Yes, thank
Fantastic.
you. Yeah, I gotcha.
things look for this season. The White Sox now have 6 of the top 100 prospects, but none are slated to start this season on the White Sox roster. Will Venables, first-time manager, former first base coach for the Cubs, and Luis Robert Jr. remains the Cubs' best player until he plays well and gets traded. That's what's going to happen. Why keep a good player?
Nah, you can just trade him for prospects that never amount to anything.
Before we get to the Cubs case, what is the easiest way or the lowest price you can enter the ballpark today at?
You can get in the ballpark right now for $26.
That's awesome.
That is great. It should be packed. Listen, it's the first game. Let's go down there. As a Cubs fan myself, get out there and support. It is a beautiful ballpark. I don't know why they had conversations of building a new one. Last year I went twice, and it is awesome.
With some great new food additions this year.
Kenzie wants those Korean dogs.
I do.
Would
It's
you-
amazing.
I mean, that's worth at least a couple innings. And like Kenzie mentioned, it's kind of like just a cover charge to get in at $29-something, whatever.
For some good food.
I just feel like we're missing the point that opening day is not only not sold out, it's not even close to being sold out, and tickets are only $26 to get in. You're right. It's a win for the families. I get that. But what an embarrassment. I mean, this seating chart is full of blue dots. This is ugly. It's really
What's
sad.
embarrassing is what they charge people to just have a nice day for all these other events. God forbid people can actually go.
I know, but last year I went to opening day with Dougie Styles, and it was packed. We could barely move. And this
You went
year
with
it's
Dougie?
I went with Dougie last year.
Why?
We're boys.
What?
We're boys.
But he's not a really big baseball person
Yeah,
in
but
general.
but he whenever things start popping, Dougie Styles is there.
Did you tell him girls were going to be there?
I said there were going to be girls there. We should go.
Were
That's
there girls there?
Yeah. My girlfriend, and then it was 60,000 men with Dougie and I.
Good odds for your girlfriend.
He must have thought she was bringing a friend.
And she wasn't.
Unfortunate for Dougie.
Well, listen, and last year I guess there was a lot of promise going into that season, and that's why it led to some promise.
Some promise.
But the worst, and listen, today's going to be decent weather. I say get to the ballpark. Who cares? We're starting over.
I'm sure Dougie Styles will be there.
Yeah. Looking, if there's some ladies want to go for $29, go down there and see me Dougie Styles. So for the
Careful.
Cubs, last season 83 and 79. The DraftKings over/unders only a couple games better, 85.5. The biggest storyline is can they win their first playoff game since 2017, which sounds horrific as a Cubs fan to say out loud. 8 years we're looking at without a playoff win. That is pathetic. They made some big moves, traded for Kyle Tucker, who comes in from the Astros, as well as the bullpen arm Ryan Presley. That should be a good impact right there because they needed major bullpen help, and also Kyle Tucker bringing him in. So that if it doesn't make an impact, problems. Problems. Rookie third baseman Matt Shaw turned heads in spring training, and he could get Rookie of the Year, starting third baseman. Cubs were aggressive in the offseason, so not making the playoffs this year, and also after getting a manager a year and a half, 2 years ago, and paying him the most of Major League Baseball history, you've got to win when you spend that kind of money. So that's a little breakdown of today with Major League Baseball opening day. Brian and Kenzie on Q101. How about giving us your takeaways? 312-591-8300. What are you taking away from today's show? Something that was memorable to you. Text that in right now, 312-591-8300.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with your takeaways, 312-591-8300. Takeaways from today's show. What was memorable to you? And you text those in, 312-591-8300. And starting off with Brett here, checking in from the 219. Takeaway. Kenzie just wants to talk to him.
I just want to talk to him.
Why do you have a shotgun?
I just want to talk to him.
Dad, this is ridiculous.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him.
It is not his fault.
I just want to shoot him. I just want to
You
talk to him.
can't shoot him.
Get your takeaways in. We'll have more after Blink when we close it down. Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q101.
So remember the Ticket Blitz Thursday word for Black Keys and Gary Clark Jr. for the next 20 minutes is gold. Text that to 312-591-8300 for your chance to win tickets to that show for the Black Keys, Gary Clark Jr. Gold to 312-591-8300. Lauren on her way in. And before that, our takeaways from you, 312-591-8300. Case, what do you got?
Jim and Lyle checked in his takeaway. Money is fleeting. Mountain Dew is forever.
Facts. Kenzie, what do you got?
Dakota's takeaway. You're going to make me cry in front of Dunkin' Donuts.
And finally, Jason checked in from the 219 takeaway. When buying more than $4 of gas, you got to huck to and spit on that thing before you put it in your car hole. Also, a bonus takeaway. A lot of takeaways on this one. Megan checked in takeaway. Next week's Kenzie's Crimes will be starring her husband, Justin Roman. There's no funny there.
Funny to Kenzie and Kenzie only because we know it's real.
Yeah.
They've been foiled again.
Somebody got it out there. Case, what's on the podcast?
Well, Brian does want you to take care of your car hole. If you're confused on what part of the car that is, you can listen to the Brian and Kenzie podcast. Also, an all-time great Clash with Kenzie today. Certainly one of the loudest Clash with Kenzie games in history. That is on the Brian and Kenzie podcast.
And not because of me.
No, that's the crazy part.
That's where it has to sink in.
And also, speaking of Kenzie being loud, the 8 a.m. podcast, Kenzie went off on her husband. If you've ever questioned how Latina Kenzie is, this would be a good gauge for you. Her accent terrified me. She was so angry, and she wasn't even angry at me.
The real key was the build. She started off like normal Kenzie.
Everything's fine.
Everything was beautiful and nice. Everything's fine. It's fine. Also, a last-minute takeaway I have to read from 708.
A third one.
Takeaway from today's White Sox. Their new sales tactic is that for $29, you can get access to a Korean dog and possibly meet Dougie Styles. Well, check out the podcast tomorrow. Of course, we got Tommy Boy, Case's movie review at 8, and a whole bunch of other free stuff for you.
Brian and Kenzie.
On Q 101.